In a village where no one believed in him, a lonely orphan, mocked and ignored, heard a warning in the wind. No one listened, until it was almost too late. This is the story of how the boy they laughed at became the only one who could save them all. In the heart of a vast African savanna, nestled between golden grasses and ancient baobab trees, lay a small, forgotten village named Mwenga. Time moved slowly there. The sun ruled the day, and the stars commanded the night. Among the villagers lived a boy named Taji, a frail orphan with a head full of wild dreams and eyes that shimmered like the first drops of rain after a long drought. Taji had no family. His parents had died when he was just a toddler, victims of a mysterious sickness that swept through Mwenga many years ago. Since then, the villagers tolerated Taji but treated him like an outsider. They mocked him for his ragged clothes, his scrawny frame, and most of all, for the strange stories he told. Stories of talking winds, whispering trees, and spirits that roamed the night to protect the pure of heart. "He's mad, that one," the elders often said, shaking their heads. "The boy talks to himself," laughed the children, throwing pebbles at him as he wandered the dusty lanes alone. Despite the ridicule, Taji remained kind. He would help the old gather firewood, fetch water for the women, and even share whatever little food he found with the stray animals that no one else cared for. Deep in his heart, he believed that one day he would find his true place in the world. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills and painted the sky in strokes of crimson and gold, Taji sat beneath an ancient baobab tree outside the village. As he closed his eyes, he heard a soft whisper in the wind. It wasn't the usual rustle of leaves. It was words, clear and urgent. "Darkness is coming, little one," the wind murmured. "Only you can save them." Taji's eyes flew open. He looked around, but there was no one. Only the swaying grass and the heavy stillness of twilight. His heart pounded. Could it be true? Was this another trick of his mind, or a real warning? He ran back to the village to tell the elders, but they laughed in his face. "Another one of your silly dreams," barked Elder Jabari, slapping his knee with amusement. "Go play with your imaginary friends." Taji's cheeks burned with humiliation, but he would not give up. That night, he climbed the tallest tree near the riverbank and watched. Hours passed. Then, just before midnight, he saw them, dark shapes moving through the grass, creeping toward Mwenga like silent shadows. It was a band of raiders, notorious for pillaging helpless villages, leaving nothing but ashes behind. Taji rushed back, screaming, banging on doors, trying to wake the sleeping villagers. "Get up! We're in danger! Raiders are coming!" Doors slammed in his face. Some villagers cursed him for disturbing their sleep. Others ignored him altogether. Finally, Taji did the only thing he could think of. He ran to the village center, grabbed the great talking drum, a sacred object only to be used in emergencies, and started beating it with all his strength. Boom! 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 The earth seemed to shake under the force of his desperate warning. Lights flickered in huts. Sleepy, angry faces appeared. "Who dares disturb the peace of Mwenga?" roared Elder Jabari. Taji, panting, pointed toward the darkness beyond the fields. "Raiders! They're almost here." Some villagers laughed. Others looked uncertain. Suddenly, a distant scream pierced the night. A lookout had been attacked. Panic spread like wildfire. Women clutched their children. Men grabbed whatever weapons they could find. Old spears, rusted knives, farming tools. Confusion reigned. In the chaos, Taji climbed onto a large rock and shouted, "I know where we can hide. Follow me." No one moved at first. Then, realizing they had no better plan, the villagers hesitated, and then surged after him. Taji led them toward the river, to a place only he knew, a narrow, hidden path behind a waterfall that opened into a deep cavern. Years ago, he had stumbled upon it while wandering alone, seeking shelter from a storm. The path was treacherous, slick with moss and half hidden by vines, but Taji moved quickly, guiding the terrified villagers by moonlight. One by one, they slipped behind the waterfall and into the safety of the cavern. From inside, they heard the raiders storming the village, smashing doors, setting fires, shouting in frustration when they found no one to capture. Taji's heart ached at the sound of his home being destroyed, but he stayed strong. He had saved the people, and that was all that mattered. Through the long, terrible night, Taji kept watch at the mouth of the cave, listening for any signs of danger. Dawn broke slowly, painting the sky a soft purple. When it was finally safe, Taji led the villagers back. The village was in ruins. Homes burned, crops trampled, livestock stolen. Tears filled many eyes. But no lives had been lost, thanks to Taji. In the aftermath, the villagers gathered in the center of the wrecked village. Elder Jabari stepped forward. His head bowed in shame. "We mocked you, Taji," he said, voice thick with emotion. "We laughed at your dreams, but you saved us all. We owe you everything." The villagers cheered. Children who once threw stones now surrounded him with hugs. Women kissed his forehead. Men clapped him on the back. From that day forward, Taji was no longer the orphan boy no one wanted. He became Taji the Brave, the boy who had saved Mwenga. A new village was built, stronger, wiser, united. And at its center stood a statue carved from the ancient baobab wood. A boy with a drum in one hand and a light shining from his heart. Every time the wind blew through Mwenga, it whispered his name, Taji, the boy who had listened when no one else would.